Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting with M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you guys today is called In the Valley. It's a 10 by 14, and I completed this painting very recently, back in April. And this is one of those sort of fortunate ones that was all done in one pass. I didn't go in with a second or third pass. I could have. I had plans, but it stood pretty well on its own. And every now and again, well, too, I've had some some friends like come into the studio and say, well, what else are you going to do to this? It looks done to me. So I will always take that on board and go with that when, well, when I'm listening. Excuse me, I have a little sip of coffee here. It's Sunday morning, May 28th, and it seems like May went really quick, but whatever. That's how things go, I guess. This painting was done on the burr number, and it's also a scene that I painted as an 8 by 12 in a quite different manner back in, oh my goodness, probably 2010. So quite a while ago. I still have the 8 by 12, and the 8 by 12 is very, very different. It's a lot less color, for one. I think I put in a completely different sky, and this actual reference it is New Zealand, and it was from a photo I took back on my first trip to New Zealand in 2009. Probably the west coast out here, it's hard to say, but one of the things I like about the painting is it could be anywhere, and I like most of my scenes to have that sort of quality. I'm not really into super specific landscape motifs. I like things to be, I don't want to use the word generic, but that may be the only word I can find right now. There's a lot of course, negative connotations with the word generic, as there are with the word synthetic. Now, the word synthetic really sums up a lot of what I'm doing with this painting. I mean, the colors are much stronger than they would probably have been in nature. Not always, though. Sometimes you'll get some very, very intense colors out of nature, especially, of course, at twilight. But I like that word synthetic because it's what I do. I basically use nature as a springboard to set up something that is going to capture an emotional quality. Yesterday we did I think it was day 2 of volume 2 of 25 Days of Tonalism, and I did go back in the studio. I did not do any major painting. I think I kind of ended up futzing about with a few paintings that were on the drying rack, hitting a few things. And sometimes I'll do that on a Saturday because I know it's going to have Sunday to dry while I'm having my usual day off. So I finished maybe it's finished, I don't know. I did a second pass on a scene I talked about yesterday. That's a very vertical 12 by 16, and 12 by 16 doesn't really lend itself too well to, well, I'm saying it doesn't lend itself well to vertical. It looks awesome the last couple times I've done it, so I still prefer something like 11 by 14 though. And if I was going to jump up, I'd probably jump up to like a 16 by 20. For example, like that's 4 times up from an 8 by 10. And I really like 8 by 10s as verticals. I have painted a lot of horizontal 8 by 10s, but I prefer them as verticals, for sure. If I'm going to do in fact, just recently I worked on this sort of, I guess you call it commission. I'm doing a study after John Francis Murphy for an artist there in the States, and I've had these boards sitting around that were offcuts that were 7 by 10, and I really like that proportion a lot more than 8 by 10. Just taking away that 1 inch just gives it a really nice quality. And these things are subtle, of course, but when you consider that every picture starts with the frame, it all starts with the area that the picture is the picture's going to be on, which I guess we'll refer to as the frame, the area. This is the main defining component of the picture, and not something to be taken lightly. It has a major impact on everything that goes on within that frame. So I did this 7 by 10, and I have 3 other panels that I've had them prepped because I've been thinking about them, and I'm really I really liked painting that size. I think it's awesome. It's not too big. It's got a great proportion, and it just happens to be double, or at least side by side of a 5 by 7. It's a little different than a 5 by 7 proportion wise, but you of course take 2 5s and a 7, and you've got a 7 by 10. So excuse me, I just had to sneeze here. Maybe some pollen going on out here. Anyway, getting back into the studio next week. Well, actually, I should say I've been. This is a piece I just photographed last week, and I've been really hot to get this to you guys because I really like it. And so I did my photography, and after I do my photography, I have. I guess I have like areas on my wall in my studio. It's sort of like dedicated to the gallery area in the front. It's a very small studio, but I've got the front portion set up as a little gallery, and what I will do there a lot of times is I'll rotate pictures in and out of the frames that are on the wall, and this is one of the reasons I like to work in standard sizes. I popped this one into a 10 by 14 frame that I'd had on the wall, and I don't get a lot of people coming into the studio this time of year. It's not the tourist time, but a nice young couple came in, and they were, oh, this painting's awesome. They weren't talking about buying it. They had a baby, so I didn't even. People with babies, people with young kids, and old people, I don't even try and sell them anything, because whatever money they've got. Well, if you're old, you're retired, and you have a house full of art anyway. If you're into art. And if you're young with a baby, you got a million things you got to spend money on, and generally speaking, art isn't one of them. But I had a really nice conversation with this young couple, and they had remarked on this painting, said it was their favorite painting in the whole studio. So that's always cool. It's always good. Pardon me. It's always good when people are remarking or commenting on something that's recent. Although it's amazing how time keeps, of course, slipping into the future, and you can't really worry about the stuff you've done in the past. Even the near past is still the near past. It's always about the next painting you're gonna do, and trying to do something really good every time. And of course, it doesn't work out that way. It's not every time that you do something good, but I like to believe that if you're pure in spirit and work hard, that you do get better bit by bit over time, and overall the body of work does improve, and that's been my experience, really. But even going back to a time like 2010, I had my highlights. I had things that I did then that, and frankly, I wouldn't be able to replicate them. I don't paint that same way. I know back in 2010, I would work with. I was a lot more timid. First of all, I was still wrapping my head around tonalism, and a lot of my approach was based on many layers of paint that were very thin. And it's I've gradually gotten away from that. I actually would like to paint even thicker than I have been painting, but the problem when you paint really thick is that things get away from you and it gets to be a bit of a morass. Um, I tried to strike a happy medium, and one thing I've noticed working on this burnt umber is that I have a tendency to, because that burnt umber supports me so well, especially down in the land area, not so much in the sky. Um, you know, I can do a flick here or there, and you'd be amazed. Like in this painting, in fact, you will. All you really have to do is take a look at the blog post that's going to go along with it. You'll see there's a lot of the burnt umber ground coming through that was never covered with the paint. Now, that's not really a problem. That's one of the reasons, actually, why I've been doing my board prep with the acrylic gesso and some burnt umber in it, and then after that dries, I've been laying over a thin coat of oil paint that's burnt umber. It's sort of to replicate, like this painting, underneath this in the valley is some sort of failed other painting. I don't know what it was and don't care at this point, but what I did with that was sanded it down and then painted a good thick coat of burnt umber over the top, and then proceeded to do this painting. And for that reason, I tell you, you get the best surface quality off of those. If I could, I'd have somebody doing failed paintings all day for me, just so I could cover them over and do a painting on top, because you get a really awesome fracture in the surface that's much more interesting than even, you know, I do my best to texturize the boards with a brush now, but there's no way to replicate that feeling, and it is a really nice quality, and this is a painting I'm quite happy with. I'm getting fairly close to the end here. Of course, I'm going to pimp my Saatchi site. Not that you ever have to buy anything from me, but if you ever struck your mind that you would like to own an M. Francis painting, go to Saatchi and buy one. That would be cool. And if not, just, you know, watch the videos, dig it. Also, you know, I don't pop up a bunch of these weird things that say subscribe, this, da 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 da. I don't want to bother you guys. In fact, I took the pop-up ads off of the videos. There is an advertisement that comes on at the beginning a lot of times, but subscribe. You know, if you like the channel, click subscribe. You know, why not? It's cool. I like it. And you can go to my website, landscapepainter.co.nz, to follow my blog. On the blog is a higher res version of this image and some really good detail images, so go check that out. And also other stuff on the website, you know, recent paintings and things like that. Anyway, I'll be back next week, so meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.